famous Sydney Opera House is a multi-venue performing arts centre and area located on Sydney's famous harbourfront. Quite easily one of the world's most well-known buildings, it has been and continues to be hailed as one of the masterpieces of 20th century expressionist architectural history. In the 1940s, planning started on a new groundbreaking would-be venue for large musical and theatrical productions. Up until this point, productions were being held at Sydney's Town Hall, but demand was creeping up for a venue with much larger capacity. It was in the 1950s when at long last a design commission was launched for the new structure to be situated on Sydney's iconic harbour, where at the time was located a tram depot. The design competition attracted over 200 entries from over 30 countries, with the winning design going to the Danish architect Jørn Utzon. Finally, in the late 1950s, the tram depot currently occupying the site was demolished, with construction on Sydney's new Opera House starting shortly after. Due to the untried complex nature of the design, along with unresolved structural issues, construction was divided up into 4 stages, with construction running all the way up until the early 70s. Redesigns were common throughout the construction project, with the teams frequently running into difficulties, with everything from the podium on which the structure was to stand, to the shells, whose geometry had to be individually capable of supporting their own force, all while remaining within an acceptable budget. Almost 2,500 precast ribs were manufactured on-site, along with 4,000 sheet roof tiles. Utzon's specificity on the tiles became so specific to the building that their design became known as the Sydney tile. The air conditioning system was also the largest in Australia at the time, and cleverly used the harbour water to cool the heat pumps, a system which is still in use today. Moving to the later phases of the project, Utzon decided to relocate his office to Sydney in the early 1960s to oversee the project full-time. Shortly after, the newly formed government of New South Wales seized ownership of the project, owing to, as they described it, the projected cost, completion time, and impracticality of the project, ultimately leading to Utzon's resignation in 1966 and him leaving Australia. After the project was taken into new ownership with government architects, several amendments were made to the interior designs.
Please take a moment to like and subscribe at some point during the video if you're enjoying my content. You can also follow me on social media or even support me at Patreon or buy me a coffee. Also, don't forget to check out the Redhead map to see more videos by location. Now back to the video.
Sydney Opera House was completed in 1973, 10 years late and 1,350% over budget, whilst having been faced with controversies and bitter relationships. Sydney Opera House nevertheless went on to revolutionise complex geometries in architecture. On the 29th of October 1973, Queen Elizabeth II officially opened Sydney Opera House. In 1999, reconciliation had been established with Utzon, and he was appointed as a trustee design consultant for future work. In 2004, a dedicated space of the interior was changed to Utzon's original design and was dedicated to him. Upon his death in 2009, Utzon was given a state memorial service in the Opera House, and in 2016 the 1959 tapestry originally commissioned to be hung in the Opera House was finally handed over by the Utzons and unveiled. Over the years, many notable figures have performed and appeared at the Opera House, such as Paul Robson, Carol Burnett, Thin Lizzy, Pope John Paul II, Nelson Mandela, Michael Bublé, Brian Eno, Oprah Winfrey, and many more. It's also appeared in many films from the big studios, as well as console games. Today, Sydney Opera House is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is on the list of Australian National Heritage. There is also speculation of it becoming one of the new wonders of the world in future. Today, it's home to Opera Australia, the Australian Ballet, the Sydney Theatre Company, Sydney Symphony Orchestra, and more. It occupies the whole of Bennelong Point on Sydney Harbour and attracts over 8 million visitors every year. If you want to visit Sydney Opera House, head down to Sydney Harbour. All major transport links have a stop at Circular Quay, which is a short walk from Bennelong Point, as well as the other surrounding attractions. Admissions are obviously based on performances, so head over to their website to see what's on before your visit to get tickets. Otherwise, you can join one of the daily guided tours between 9 to 5. Thanks for tuning into another video, everyone, and as always, ciao for now.